Gustine moved in, firing bolts of light that simply reflected off Glaw's gleaming form. Cherubiel came in from the other side. Its searing attack scorched Glaw's metal, and I heard him curse. He slashed at Cherubiel with his open hand, extending hook blades from slots in his fingertips. The hooks ripped into Cherubiel's flesh, but it made no cry. It grappled with Pontius Glaw, psychic power boiling the space between them, and flaring out in spasming tendrils of light. The very air crisped and ionized. Glaw's dancing metal feet chipped flakes of onyx off the plinth beneath him. I tried to get in, to land a blow in support of the demon host, but it was like approaching a furnace. Gustine simply looked on, open-mouthed. He was so far out of his league, it wasn't funny. Glaw tore out a savage blow that spun Cherubiel away for a second and followed it up with a lance of mental fury that actually made the demon host tumble out of the air. Cherubiel got up slowly, like a thrown rider, and rose up off the ground again. In that short break, I rejoined the struggle, driving at Glaw with alternate blows of staff and sword, keeping the most powerful mind wall that I could erect between us. Glaw smashed the wall into invisible pieces, struck me hard and tore the staff out of my hand. His blades lacerated my arm and ripped my cloak. I exerted all of the force I had, and rallied with Barbarisator, cutting in with rotating ulsars and heavy say-hets that trimmed against his rippling cloak armor. The rune staff had fallen out of reach. I ducked to avoid a high sweep of his razor hem, but I had forced myself too hard. I felt cranial plugs pop and servos tear out of my back. Pain knifed up my spine. I barely got clear of his neck strike. My sword work became a frantic series of tan-fe-sar parries as I tried to back away and fend off his hooks and cloak blades. Cherubiel charged back at Glaw, but something intercepted it in midair. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Cherubiel locked in aerial combat with an incandescent figure. They tumbled away, off the plinth, out of the gulf of the tomb. "You don't think you're the only one to have a pet, do you?" Glaw jeered. "And my demon host is not restricted in its power like yours. Poor Cherubiel, you've treated him so badly." "It's an it, not a him," I snarled, and placed a high stroke that actually notched his golden mask. "Bastard!" he squealed, and swept his cloak around under my guard. The thick metal of my body brace deflected the worst of it, but I felt blood welling from cuts to my ribs. I staggered back. The agony in my spine was the worst thing, and I was certain my already limited motion was now badly impaired. My left leg felt dead and heavy. Iron Hoof. Iron Hoof. He thrust at me with his talons and nearly shredded my face. I blocked his hand, and at the last second setting Barbarisator between his splayed fingers and locking out his strike. He threw me back. I was off step, balanced by my slow, heavy mechanical legs. Laser shots danced across Glaw's face and chest as Gustine tried vainly to help out. Glaw pirouetted, a move that seemed impossibly nimble for such a giant, and his cloak whirred out almost horizontally with the centrifugal force. Hundreds of fast-moving razor-sharp blades whistled through Gustine, so fast, so completely, that he didn't realize what had happened to him. A mist of blood puffed in the air. Gustine collapsed. Literally. Glaw turned on me again. I'd lost sight of Cherubiel. I was on my own. And only now did I admit to myself that I was outmatched. Glaw was almost impervious to damage, fast, armored. Even on a good day, he would have been hard to defeat in single combat, and this wasn't a good day. He was going to kill me. He knew it too. As he pressed his assault, he started to laugh. That cut me deeper than any of his blades. I thought of Fishig, Amos, and Bequin. I thought of all the allies and friends who had perished because of him. I thought of what his spite had done to me, and what it had cost me to get this far. I thought of Cherubiel. The laughter reminded me of Cherubiel. I came back at him so hard and so furiously that Barbara Sator's blade became notched and chipped. I struck blows that snapped blade scales off his clinking cape. I struck at him until he wasn't laughing anymore. His answer was a psychic blast that smashed me backward 10 paces. Blood spurted from my nose and filled my mouth. I didn't fall. I would not give him that pleasure. But Barbara Sator flew, screaming from my dislodged grip. I was hunched over, my hands on my thighs, panting like a dog. My head was swimming. I could hear him, crunching over the onyx towards me. You would have won by now if you had the book, I said, coughing the blood from my mouth. What? The book. The damned book. The Malus Codicium. That's what you were really after when you sent your hired murderers against me. That's why you tore my operation apart and killed everyone you could reach. You wanted the book. Of course I did, he snarled. I looked up at him. It would have unlocked the prize already, done away with this endless, fruitless study. You'd simply have opened the tomb and taken the demon's chariot, long before we could ever get here. Savor that little triumph, Gregor, he said. Your little Pyrrhic victory by keeping that book from me. You have added extra months, years to my work. Yisar's weapon will be mine, but you've made its acquisition so much harder. Good, I said. He chuckled. You're a brave man, Gregor Eisenhorn. Come on, now, I'll make it quick. His blades clinked. I suppose then, I added, I'd have been mad to bring it with me. He froze. With a shaking, bloody hand, I reached into my coat and took out the Malus Codicium. I think he gasped. I held it out, half open, so he could see, and rifled the pages through with my fingers. You foolish, foolish man, he said, smiling. That's what I thought, I said. With one brutal jerk, I ripped the pages out of the cover. No, he cried. I wasn't listening. I fixed my mind on the loose bundle of sheets in my hands, and subjected them to the most ferocious mental blast I could imagine. The pages caught fire. I threw them up into the air. Gloss screamed with despair and rage. A blizzard of burning pages fluttered around us. He tried to grab at them. He moved like an idiot, like a child, snatching what he could out of the air, trying to preserve anything at all. The pages burned, leaves of darkness billowing around the plinth consumed by fire. He snatched a handful, tried for more, stamping out those half-burned sheets that landed on the ground. He wasn't paying any attention to me at all. Barbara Sator tore into him so hard it almost severed his head. Electricity crackled from the rent metal. He rasped and staggered. The Carthian blade sang in my hands as I ripped it across his chest and shattered part of his cloak. He fell backwards, right at the edge of the plinth, his fingerhooks shrieking as they fought to get a purchase on the smooth onyx. I swung again, an upswing that ripped off his golden mask and sent it spinning out over the gulf. The interior of his head was revealed, the circuits, the crackling, fusing cables, the crystal that contained his consciousness and being, set in its cradle of links and wires. "In the name of the holy god Emperor of Terra," I said quietly, "I call thee Diabolus, and here deliver thy sentence." My own blood was dripping off Barbara Sater's hilt between my doubled-handed grip. I raised the blade and made the Ul Kair. The blade split his head and shattered the crystal into flecks of glass. Pontius Glau's metal body convulsed, jerked back and fell off the edge of the plinth, down into the gulf, into the blackness of the Demon King's tomb, its cloak blades chiming. I was sitting on the plinth, with my back against the tomb wall, blood slowly pooling around me, when a light flashed out in the darkness of the vault. It came closer. At last, Terubiel floated down and hovered over me. Its face, limbs, and body were hideously marked with wheals, burns, and gashes. I looked up at it. It was hard to move, hard to concentrate. There was blood in my mouth, in my eyes. "Glau's demon host? Gone." He claimed it was more powerful than you. "You don't know how nasty I can be," it said. I thought about that. The last of the Diabolic Book's pages were mere tufts of black ash scattered across the plinth. "Are we finished here?" it asked. "Yes," I said. It frowned. "I'm going to have to carry you after all, aren't I?"